Hi everybody, I'm Al Ruechel, and thank you for joining us in this portion of the PCS Journal, where we sit down and chat with people within Pinellas County Schools about things that are important to you. And we've got an application process coming up because in Pinellas County, you've got choice all over the place about what kind of education you can have for your children. They're all good, but you can get really specific and get things that kids are going to be super interested in. Join me right now, Truskowski, Pinellas County School District Application Program Specialist. How you doing?
Good. How are you
today? Good to see you again.
Yes.
We had you on Bay News 9 at one recently. That was very good. You did a great job. Okay, let's talk about the district application process, because there are going to be some people that are going to be watching this program going, either one, they're going to go, what's that? Or, oh, do I have to do that again? So let's start out with, what is it?
Pinellas County offers 70 different what they call district application programs. So we have a district of choice. There are options for magnet, which are theme-based programs, fundamental, which is a traditional back to basics type model of school, as well as career academies. So parents can choose to apply from them if they do not want to go to or wish to have different options in their neighborhood school.
Right.
So within that, there's a period where they can apply to be a part of one of those schools.
Now let me make sure I understood this right. 70?
Yes, 70 different
70 programs? And of course that's different grade levels too, but that's a lot of programs, isn't it?
Pinellas County is looking to serve their family. So by offering different programs, everything ranging from STEM programs, we have performing art programs. Yeah. There are career academies, culinary arts, and a wide range. So something to meet every student's interest.
Now let me play the role of parent here. A little bit of Q&A here. So I hear some parents are going to go, well, wait a minute. What about my zone school? I mean,
that should always be the first place.
Okay.
Zone schools are a great option, but every now and then you'll have a child who has a passion or interest for one thing above another. If that's the case, and the zone school doesn't offer an elective that they may want or that type of option, they can then apply to be a part of one of the district applications program schools.
And then another question they're going to ask, wait a minute, my child is going into 4th or 5th grade, has to make a choice already? I mean, I was in college and I didn't figure out what I wanted to do until I was a junior in college.
And that's true. There is no set pattern that if you choose to go to performing arts school in elementary that you have to continue in middle school. It's a great option and way to explore the different interests, see what you want. You could do performing arts, STEM in middle, and something different in high school.
So if I go to one of these programs, though, will I get a good education so that I could transfer from one application school to another eventually if I wanted to? Okay.
So it's
I know you've been through these a lot, but
No,
these are the things that go through parents' minds immediately, like, what?
It's district curriculum, standard curriculum based on state standards. So they're getting the same education at every single program and every single school in the county. What makes it different is if it's a theme-based, they're going to be infusing. So performing arts and you're in history class, you might be doing more role playing. You may see the arts a little bit different and more visual arts representations. If it's more of a STEM focus, you'll see some of the social studies and some of the other language arts class. If they're reading about a city, they may actually design and engineer a city. So you're seeing that theme infused with all the different classes, but the education they get will be the same.
Okay, now let's talk about fundamental schools, because I realize that from state to state, even from county to county, that can kind of vary. So when we say fundamental school, what does that mean? Fundamental
schools came from the parents wanting to go a little bit back to of more traditional. Yeah. So there's different expectations, requirements. Parents are expected and required to attend a certain amount of meetings, participation. There's expectations for students as well as teachers. And so it's a very back to basics, good, strong education, knowing that they have to meet those different requirements.
So this is kind of the tough part with your own kids, because you think, you know, we had 4 kids and they were all extremely different. So knowing what would be a good fit for them, how do you figure that out?
I think you first start with your neighborhood school. Go and visit it, find out what it has, and most times a neighborhood has exactly what you want. If you find that it's not the climate or culture that you may be looking for and you want something different, the district has a website, www.pcsb.org/choice. And on that page, you'll see all the different options that are available. You can start off by looking at the school's websites. Each school has a brochure. We provide a program guide that went out to every kindergarten, 5th grade, and 8th grade student. That's also online on that webpage. There were parent information sessions. We had 2 parent information fairs where every school is represented at the fair.
Yeah.
In addition to that, right now, it started already, but there's still quite a few different discovery nights, which is kind of like an open house. You go to the school and you introduce to the principal, the teachers, see what their program's about.
So another question to the parent. Well, that's great. I live up in countryside, but I want my kids to go to that performing arts John Hopkins in the junior high program. How does that happen?
So the district does provide arterial transportation for certain. There's 3 different zones in the county. And if you look on that district application guide, it'll tell you where transportation is provided. There are a few programs that are countywide application programs, which means anyone in the county can apply to, but the district tries to make sure that there's something of the same theme or option in each of the zoned areas.
Like, for example, now when my kids started, there was one IB school, which was down in St. Petersburg, and then there became 2, one up in Palm Harbor and one in St. Petersburg, which was tough for us because they both played on soccer teams and they were 28 miles apart. So we spent our entire 2 years just on the roads like that. But in terms of these arterial programs, that means you may have to drive your child to a school where a bus might pick them up and then take them to one of these other programs.
So if you are within that zoned area where you get transportation and you live 2 miles or more away from the school, arterial transportation. It may not be where a typical bus stop is. The buses go along the main routes or roads, and then you'll have to get them to that bus stop to be able to get picked up.
Okay, so now I've gone to one of these meetings. I figure out what one of the application programs my child would like. Now what do I do?
There's a couple more things. Every school offers tours, so you can go on during the school day and get a better feel. You can see the teachers interacting with the students. You can get a feel for the climate and culture and have an idea if it's a better fit. If your child's going into high school, there's other options as shadowing where they can come in and they would be paired up with one of the current students and get to see the vision from their view and really get a better sense of, is this something they want to be a part of, or maybe it's not the right option. It helps narrow the focus on where you do want to apply.
So they've decided now that they want to apply for the program. So they fill out the paperwork now. Next thing, you're required to put down your choices, right? Like 1, 2, and 3. Why is that?
They're ranked. On the number 1 ranked choice when you go to apply, there's certain priorities that can be applied to it. For example, if there is a sibling who already is in the same type of program at the school, you would get a preference. There's a proximity preference for after the 4 other priorities are applied. 20% in elementary schools are given to the people who live within the closest to the school based on who applied. 25% for middle and high schools with that. And then in addition to the sibling priority, there's a military, so it doesn't occur during the application time, but if they move in or have active orders coming in after the application time, we would then apply a priority and they would move up on the wait list. There's also a feeder pattern priority for some schools. If you're in a gifted program and you apply for a gifted elementary school to a middle school, you're guaranteed a seat.
Okay, that's right.
There's also a few, like Bay Point Elementary and a couple others that feed into middle schools. We don't do that to high schools unless you're in a fundamental school.
Okay. Wow, a lot of different choices. So then the people come along and say, well, okay, what are the odds that I'm going to get my number 1 choice? Because obviously if there are only 151 seats available and there are 500 people that apply, it's by lottery, right?
It's random.
Again, based on those other criteria. I'm glad you have to work this out. I think I'd go crazy with all that kind of stuff. So then they pick a certain number. Well, what if you aren't in, and I'm just using 150 because I think it's probably bigger than or smaller than that actually. But let's say it's 150. Well, what if you're 152 or 153 or 154? What do you do then? So
if you apply, and there's no percentage or odds. I get the phone call all the time, like, what are the odds? What school can I apply to have better odds? We don't know who's going to apply each year, so there's no way to determine or decide that. If you are not selected, you would be on a wait list. And then some people will get multiple offers. So as they decline those offers, seats will open up in other schools.
Right.
As they open up, the magnet coordinator of that school will start to call down and make their way down that magnet list.
Okay, so now you've chosen your school. They say they send you an email, because this is all done through the internet, folks. You've got to make sure you have your parent ID number. Get that. That's the very first thing you do. And then you have to respond back and say, yes, I accept this. My child does want to go to that school. Hip, hip, hooray, let the balloons fly and the fireworks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so you want to apply between January 10th. I'm sorry. You want to apply between January 10th and the 19th. It's not a first come, first serve, so applying on the first day is not going to give you more of an advantage. That's good to know.
After that, they'll go through, they'll be checking on the priorities, and then they'll, you want to go back online between February 14th and the 21st.
Okay.
If you do not go back online at that time, that's when you're going to find out if you were offered. You could choose to decline, you could choose to stay on the wait list. At that point.
Right.
So if you don't do that and you were given an offer to spot at a school, you will lose the seat.
Right, and the thing is with this too, is that, I mean, that's what your office exists for, because we can talk about all this stuff right now, but I can guarantee you, because we had 4 kids, went through this process, and fortunately, our kids all chose IB, so we knew we knew what was ahead of us. Like I say, 5 a.m., 5:15 bus stops, but they all were very, very successful at what they do. But again, if people have questions that in anywhere along this process, now let me just play another scenario. Oh my gosh, I forgot to apply. It's past the 19th. Now what do I do?
We will have a late application period.
Late application for procrastinators, okay?
So come March, you'll be able to go ahead and apply. And we actually open or extend that late application period all the way through December 29th this year. So the end of December. So you can still apply mid-year, or if someone moves and wants to go to a different
And then again, I'm parent Mr. Forgetful.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to go to the website and accept my school that I chose.
If that's the case, then you lose the spot and you have to reapply in the late application period.
But there is a late application period.
Yes.
Because some people actually, move around during
Yes.
the time, so there's nothing way you can go around that. But how many kids will actually participate in this, not choosing their regular zone school, but in the application process? Do you have any idea?
I don't.
Is it 20, 30, 40,000? I mean, I don't know if I've ever asked that question before, so.
And I don't know the answer. I know some schools and percentage that go there. I know it's in the thousands, but
Well, a lot of people do it. But,
Yes.
but obviously you would think that when you got 70 schools to choose from. So folks, don't forget about this. And if you're watching the program right now and you're saying, have I missed a deadline? Just call the school district. That's the easiest way to do it. Because you get on that phone. In the world of emails, how many times has somebody said, well, didn't you get my email?
So we do
Yeah.
have a call center that they can call and get help anytime. And if they need help during the application period, on January 11th, we're going to be at Sandy Lane Elementary School from 5:30 to 7:30. On January 17th, we'll be at Gibbs High School from 5:30 to 7:30. And then here at the Student Assignment Office, will be available January 18th from 4:30 to 7:30.
And then I thought of one more question.
Okay.
So my child got the school that he wanted. He's been in it for 3 weeks and says, I don't want to be a foot doctor. I would rather be a computer coder. Or what happens if they change their mind?
If they change their mind, the neighborhood, as we said, you want to start with your neighborhood or zone school. That's always the first choice. You can withdraw from the program and go back to the neighborhood or zone school.
So you basically thought of everything, right?
Hopefully.
Well, that's right. Well, an excellent idea, folks. So make sure you keep track of all of these deadlines that are there. And we'll keep reminding you, and you can go to our website as well. And listen for those open dates when these schools are going to be open so you can visit them. Because really, folks, if you want to know what's going on in a school, you got to be there yourself and listen to other parents' recommendations as well. Elaine, thank you so much for stopping by.
No problem. Thank you.
We'll continue with our program right after this.